Hey everybody, we're doing a little bit of a left turn on the channel. Came in from the left. Today we're going to take a look at something new. Well, sort of new. As many of you know, Super7 for quite a few years now has been doing these 3 and 3/4 inch figures, many different properties, some of which were actually never in 3 and 3/4 inch originally, but doing it in a what they call a retro style. Now, for me, retro would be the G.I. Joe O-ring style, but what they mean is that Star Wars 5 points of articulation. Speaking of G.I. Joe, that's one of the properties. So you basically went from a 3 and 3/4 inch figure that was really well articulated to one that basically didn't move as much. I guess they sold, as I've mentioned here in the past, we did take a look at one of them, the Silent Interlude Snake Eyes. Super7 caters to a fan base that's more of a boutique type of fan. I would say it's the same type of people that buy Funko Pops. Those that really don't want to consider themselves toy collectors. That's between them and some higher power. Well, last year, Super7, again, I guess the line was selling well enough, revealed two things. Number one, a crowdfunding campaign for the Cobra Mothership, as seen in the original opening of the G.I. Joe show cartoon, and also announced that they would be going back and doing O-ring figures. Now, this was announced around the same time that Hasbro would be discontinuing their retro O-ring line. Don't know if one had anything to do with the other. Well, the Mothership failed. That's a whole other discussion. And honestly, I didn't think they were to come out with the O-ring figures, but they are. And I have one right here. This is part of the first wave. I got this from Target. During their when Amazon was doing their Prime deals, Target had a big sales week, and they actually had this out. This is called ReAction Plus. There's a little plus sign, and the first 4 figures are Snake Eyes in its comic edition, CoverGirl, Cobra Commander, and the Cobra Bat, again as a comic edition. One thing you might want to know about Super7 is they don't do the iconic versions first. They get people in with subscriptions, and in that way they drag it out a little, so you'll stay around to get the version of the figure you want. That's why when they did the Ninja Turtles, there was only one turtle per wave. That's why when they did Transformers, Optimus Prime was wave 1, Megatron was wave 2. We have a Ghost Starscream, and I think we even have a Dying Starscream, but we've yet to have a proper regular Starscream. So in this regard, here's a comic version of Snake Eyes, which, I mean, I've read some of the comic, and I really don't remember the character looking like this. But this really isn't the one, if you're an O-ring collector, you would remember. Ooh, and that's backwards. Yeah, I just... I'm just already like looking at it, but same thing with the bat. Now, one thing, let me just be clear, because they make a lot of these. These are on the shelves with the regular ReAction figures, and they're sold online. There's no mention of ReAction Plus. So the best way to figure out and recognize online if it's the right figure has to do with if you can see and I will do a close-up in the light box, the pins in the shoulders. That way, so the shoulder can move out instead of just forward and back. I'm sure I'm not telling you guys anything you didn't know. Card isn't punched, so I know that matters to some people. But in terms of of seeing how this will hold up and compare to a traditional O-ring figure, let's get it to the light box and take a closer look. Okay, so here's Snake Eyes out of the package. Now, like I said, I didn't read all of the comics, but from what I saw, whereas this is very close to the suit, in fact, I think this is actually closer to the cartoon suit, the that very purplish gray suit. Um, I don't remember these like lavender blue accents, not even from the cartoon. So there's that. Now, this is clearly based on the version 2 design of Snake Eyes because it has the knight's helmet visor. This was its more ninja look. And of course, it comes with the sword. Now, in terms of accessories, Snake Eyes comes with its Uzi 9mm and backpack and the sword. The backpack comes on the figure. It is removable, same classic attachment. Now, the sword storage, as you can see right here, consists of a slot at the top of the backpack that you just slide it down into, and it's really the friction against the back of the figure that's holding it in place. But if we remove it, this looks nothing like the Arashikage sword that Snake Eyes has been coming with in the last few years. It doesn't even look like the katana that the figure used predominantly in the comics, and various other versions have shown it coming with. So I don't know what's up with that. And you just saw that the figure fell over. I am using the base of one of those Hasbro stands because it has the foot pegs. The footholes in the bottom of Snake Eyes are just too big that while it will stand and will hold it in place, any sudden movement like you saw will cause the figure to fall over. G.I. Joe figures came with stands for a reason. I think at the $20 price point, Super 7 could have included a stand here. One thing I do want to compliment them on is that the accessories, the gun, the sword, are made of a very firm plastic. I was concerned about warping out, taking it outside of the package. That did not happen. I think it'll hold up over time. Better than what Hasbro would have done, let's be honest. Now, these are, I will say in terms of the plastic quality and feel, these are closer to the feel of the ReAction, so the Reactivate line, as opposed to the retro O-ring figures that are still coming out with the Transformer crossovers. I never did get any of those 2-packs, so I can't, I'm going to assume those are similar. Now, in terms of articulation, this is very interesting. For those of you who may not be aware, the first year of G.I. Joe figures were, first of all, for 3 3/4 inches, very articulated. Nothing like that was seen in the U.S. I do believe that the idea of the knees, elbows, and stuff like that came from the Microman line, which was from Takara. And look into the history of that and see how Microman is connected to G.I. Joe. But one thing they didn't do was include a bicep swivel. Well, somebody got the bright idea to go ahead and update the design with a bicep swivel. So all the first year figures were re-released with, on the packaging it says, now with swivel arm battle grip. And all the new figures from then on had the bicep. So that's what we have here. Now, if you can see, this is what I was talking about, the pin in the shoulder. That's how you can really tell the difference between the ReAction and the ReAction Plus figures. And this is how they would work. It's a universal joint right there. You have the bicep swivel. You have a little over 90 degrees at the arm. You have a ball joint at a hip, but it's kind of weird how it works. And in this one, it's like I'm not getting any outward movement from it, which is kind of weird. Well, very little. And I do feel the resistance of the O-ring, so I don't want to screw around too much. But you do have 90-degree bend at the knee, waist articulation. And this is the other part of the articulation I find kind of odd. We just have a head swivel. We do not have the ball joint that was actually included, I want to say like 84, maybe 85. It didn't come with the swivel arm battle grip. But so yeah, so while these will fit in with the ReAction, I think they'll also fit in to some extent with the Retro Joes. Although again, I kind of want to say, I think the legs might be a little thin, but again, it's Snake Eyes. Maybe it's a design choice to try and make it a little more accurate to the comic instead of the toy. It's weird. It's like trying to figure out where the design influences are coming from. And really, like I said, I think it's pulling from the comic. I think it's pulling from the cartoon. Like right here, there's a rocket on its wrist. I don't know if that ever. I don't remember seeing Snake Eyes with something like that, but maybe that's a hint that we're going to get a Destro down the line. But yeah, it is kind of interesting. I mean, again, for back in the 1980s, this was articulation. I mean, the stuff you could do was above and beyond what Star Wars was doing. And, it's kind of funny. Takara was the partner with Mattel in terms of releasing Star Wars figures overseas, and they had their own exclusives. I don't think they ever used the Microman buck to make a figure that would have more articulation. But I mean, you also tend to see the issue I'm having right now. It's like I'm trying to get this to like, uh, you know, get some sort of action pose, but yeah, in terms of the balance and stuff, this is why you would have a stand. But even then, because the peg isn't holding it in place, the weight can still throw it off. So if you have a stand that can fit this, I know there's some quote unquote play sets that were released in the Reactivate line. If those had like any peg holes, hopefully they're compatible. If not, then that's really weird that they wouldn't even do that to try and, unless they're going to try and resell you the same fit, the same play sets again, but now compatible with these Reactivate Plus. I mean, it's fun. Like I said, I mean, just to answer a question that you might have, the fact that it doesn't fit on the pegs here, because I'm pretty sure these are meant to go with the retro figures. I don't think these would be compatible with the G.I. Joe Transformer crossover vehicles. Like, I mean, you can put them there, you can have them sit, but they won't be able to peg onto anything. And that's kind of sad. But that also answers my question if, like, they were going to, what differences between the retro line were there? So, yeah, I mean, real quick, let me give you a 360 here as I rotate the base. Really not much more to say. You take the backpack off. Let me take the backpack off. As you can see, there's the back of Snake Eyes. There's the backpack. Like I said, the classic cross-shaped connection point. Works very well. But yeah, I like this. I like how it looks. I don't know if I $20 like it, which I'm kind of glad I got it on sale. Like I have two others we're going to look at. I'll let you guess who those are. I didn't get the whole waves, just so you know. But these are, as far as I know, these are showing up on shelves at Target. But again, like I said at the beginning, and I've been saying throughout the video, these are getting mixed in with the regular ReAction figures. So make sure you look for the ReAction Plus logo, and obviously the accessories and the pins in the shoulders. But at $20, that might be a little too steep for you to jump in on a retro O-ring style figure, because there is something else I didn't mention. O-rings are rubber. These are going to dry out over time. There's nothing you can do. There's things you can do to maybe slow it down, but it will dry out over time. So, I mean, I know G.I. Joe collectors that paid $400 for a Major Blood sealed on card, unpunched, and the hips were loose in the package because the O-ring dried out and broke. So, if you don't care, then this might be for you. But over time, and if it's like the rubber on, say, the Transformers Beachcomber or Sandstorm that just came out within the last year and a half, though the tires on that are already starting to fall apart from what I'm hearing. This might, like a year from now, be a floppy mess that just can't even stand with the support of this stand, let alone a proper stand. So there's that. But yeah, that's it.
If you like this review, like, comment, and subscribe. Well, I appreciate the views, the likes, comments, and subscriptions. Help to communicate to YouTube through the algorithm that my channel should be exalted and held upon high. If you want to make the ultimate sign of support, I do have a Patreon. It is www.patreon.com/ChuckDog1999. All I ask for is $1 a month, $12 a year. No thrills, no tears, no special rewards. You guys know the spiel. You also know if you can't swing the $1 a month or $12 a year, your views are more than thanks enough. Patreon is just a cherry on top of an already generous sundae. So, yep, that's about it. Not much more to say. For Reaction Plus Snake Eyes, we will see you next time.